Welcome back to the Sisterhood of Sweat with Andrea Beaman. Andrea Beaman is a natural foods chef, health educator, thyroid expert, holistic health coach, and herbalist, dedicated to alternative healing and sustainable eating and living. Andrea was a featured contestant on Bravo's Top Chef. She is a regularly featured expert on CBS News and hosted the award-nominated Fed Up, a cooking show that educates viewers how to cook for and cure their bodily ailments. Andrea is recognized as one of the top 100 most influential people in health and fitness and received the award for excellence in health supportive food education from the National Gourmet Institute for Food and Health, as well as the Health Leadership Award from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. As a keynote speaker and teacher, Andrea inspires audiences to take action on their health. She teaches engaging cooking demos and health programs to students and clients through live conferences, schools, and online programs, reaching vast audiences around the world. Andrea is the author of The Whole Truth, How I Naturally Reclaim My Health, and You Can Too, and the Eating and Recipe Guide, Better Food, Better Health, and Health is Wealth. Make a delicious investment in you and happy, healthy thyroid. The essential steps to healing naturally. Andrea makes learning about better health, good food and sustainable living a fun experience for everyone. Welcome, welcome, Andrea, to the show.
Hi, Linda, sister of Sweat.
Yes, I got my sweat on today early in the morning because it's raining here.
Where are you? You East Coast or West Coast?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, so you're middle.
Yeah, Midwest. Yep.
I'll be in Ohio in September.
Oh, wow. What are you doing here?
They have the Roots Innovate conference. It's like all chefs from all over the world come to the Culinary Vegetable Institute in Milan, Ohio, and they put on all these demonstrations and talk about food, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a big eating orgy for like 2 days.
How does somebody sign up for that?
Oh, well, you sign up with the Culinary Vegetable Institute or right on my website. I think my web guy posted that up.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. If you
awesome.
like food and you like to eat and you like chefs.
Well, I kind of got introduced to you. I actually watched your cooking show first, where you were teaching people how to eat healthy and change their diet up. And I fell in love with your personality. You definitely are vibrant and living your message and your truth. It comes across just watching the video, I could see. And you've healed yourself naturally through nutrition. Can you tell the audience a little bit about that journey?
Well, yeah, it's like a continued journey. Like as long as you're on the planet, you're going to be healing from something. Like you're not making it through this life intact with all of your everything, like functioning 100%. It's a nice idea. But look at our world, right? We're bombarded with toxins. We're surrounded by crap. Oh my God, crap everywhere. So like if you make it through all the way to like 100 and you haven't had any sickness or any illness, my gosh, God bless you. But so like I like to think of this as like a journey. It's like a healing journey to be a human being at this time. And for me, it started with thyroid disease. Actually, it started with cancer, my mom's cancer. That was like the first little ding, 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 ding. Something's not right. Things are out of alignment here. And when I got diagnosed with my thyroid disease, they recommended radioactive iodine and then Synthroid. And I was like, I don't want radioactive anything. Nah, no, thank you. And I changed my diet and my lifestyle. And that was like a huge wake-up call. From that one step alone, changing the diet and the lifestyle, I hadn't even reached changing the consciousness yet. Like that step alone really started to shift my body into a healthier state of being. So I'm a huge proponent of like, that we really have a lot more power than we've been taught that we have.
Oh, for sure. Because in you know, our, I guess I almost want to call it sick care, because we only take care of ourselves if we're sick,
That's correct.
right? It should be well care where take care of yourself so you're well all the time. And
Yeah, or at least so that you're in a healthier state, so that when sickness comes, or if sickness comes, you can heal from it quicker. Like, I'm not saying that you eat well, you take care of yourself, you change your consciousness, you do yoga, you exercise. I'm not saying that if you do all that, you won't get cancer, you won't get a sickness, you won't
right,
get blindness. I'm saying that if those illnesses come, because there is a potential that it could happen, your body will be better prepared to handle it. It'll have more energy, it'll have more vitality, the immune system will be stronger. And that's coming from someone who had a crap sandwich immune system. When I was growing up, I was sick with everything. If somebody came to my house, they had a runny nose, I had a flu for a week. It was ridiculous.
oh my gosh, a crap sandwich, is that what you said? I
Yeah.
have to laugh, because what made me fall in love with you, your personality, was I was a student at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and your lecture, you were talking about multi-grain cereal in a box, and you're like, how we think it's healthy because it says multi-grain. It's just this deceptive marketing, and you're like, it's crack in a box. You got to get the crack out of the house. And so, can you tell us, how can we get the crack out of the house? What are some ways we can eliminate some of the stuff that we're intaking? And
Yeah, that's a great question, because like so much stuff could be avoided, right? If we just got back to eating food. Like the crack in the box is food of a sort, but it's like 27 steps removed from what it was originally. So that's like something like a whole grain cereal that now has 27 things that you cannot pronounce. Right?
right,
What are they
right.
doing to the body? Right? So instead, go back to what was the original product, learn how to process it properly, whatever it was, soaked overnight, fermented, sourdough in the case of wheat, or something like that, and have it as that version instead of the packaged version with all of the different chemicals. Let's take those other steps out and just go back to the real food, like an apple or a potato instead of a potato chip, right? So this, again, we're looking at like the health, like people are so afraid of carbs these days. They're like, oh, I don't need any carbs. I was talking to a girl the other week. She hadn't had a potato in 7 years. In 7 years. And I'm like, that's, it's a little bit on the rigid side. You're a little
That's
too
a little extreme.
that's a little extreme. People have been eating potatoes for a long time. It's just that what we've done is we've overcarbed ourselves. Now we're in the process of over-proteining and over-fatting ourselves. We're just going through another stage, I think human beings are going through this. First, they go all carbs, and then they get all fat and sluggish, right? High diabetes, and then they go all protein, and they forget about carbs, and they have this crash. And now they're doing like all keto, all fat, right? Because they're forgetting about balance, right?
Well, absolutely, it is. It's all about balance, and it's just funny how you said, now we're going to the other extreme, all keto. That's a big buzzword right now, where we're just, it's from one extreme to the other. And in my book, The Sisterhood of Sweat, I wrote about carrots. I'm just like, I'm like, you should be, not stepping over carrots, go ahead and eat carrots, not crap,
Yeah.
right? And basically what happens is somebody says, no, 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 I can't have that banana. I can't have that carrot. I can't have that potato. And then they're eating maybe, I don't know, like fried chicken or a big slab of chocolate cake.
Yeah.
And so I would just say to you, basically, if it grows in the ground, flies in the air, swims in the sea,
That's right.
you
That's
could
right.
have it. And I wouldn't limit and get all extreme with things. I think, like what you said, creating a balance of healthy living and eating, and healthy living, like getting to sleep and,
Yeah.
all
Yeah, it's
of
funny you
that.
talk about carrots, because I had a gal years ago, like 15 years ago, and I was recommended. She came to me for weight loss, and I had recommended, like food, like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, proteins, fats, right? But food, just food. And when I said to her carrots, she said, "Oh no, 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 no. My trainer said I can't eat carrots because they're too high in sugar."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, so what else did your trainer say?" She goes, she pulled out these little power bars from her bag.
Oh, she was
Yeah,
eating power bars.
yeah. And I'm like, no, no, eat carrots. Trust me, eat carrots instead of the power bars. Because the power bar is so many other different types of sugar without all of the other fiber and everything to slow it down. It's like everything that's been blown apart and then put back together again in a weird way, like weird combinations, like created by man, not created by the universe. Like that's the way I like to look at it. Like if it was created by nature, probably going to be a little bit better for you. If we created in the factory, we still need a lot of training on what food really is.
Yeah, and these bars, they have a whole lot of sugar in them, and I have to say, even if it says low carb, you got to look for the culprit somewhere, because you need to be reading your labeling. That's first and foremost. And if you can't pronounce it, or you don't know what it is, you shouldn't be eating it.
Yeah.
And the lesser the ingredients, the better off you are.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just like eating a candy bar, for real. I mean, I usually have my clients make their bars homemade at home.
Oh, it's very smart. They know exactly
Yeah.
what's going in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think it just pays to kind of know what you should be eating. And there's so much confusion out there because, the consumer is like, well, what should I do? Low carb, high carb, no carb, all fat, So you're clearing some of that up today. This really should be all about your health.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like we also forget, like we've forgotten how to listen to our body. So we listen to everything that's marketed to us when our body is saying something completely different. And, like I understand the whole keto craze right now because people have been limiting fat for so long. And we're actually just
Right.
talking about high protein, right? So in order to digest the amount of protein that people were eating with paleo, they actually need fat. They need more fat. So
Right.
so it just makes sense, right? We went from this high carb to the high protein to the high fat. It's like this natural progression because we can't eliminate entire food groups, right? All just goodbye food group, goodbye to this that's been in the human food supply forever. Goodbye to fat, goodbye to protein.
Well, yeah, because then you're going to suffer in some other way. And so what's going to happen is you're doing all this high fat, and then all of a sudden you're going to realize, oh, I need this. And then it's going to swing the other way.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the best eating by far for people to follow? Like just a simple way of eating?
Well, the thing that I like to promote the most is seasonal eating, right? So where you live in Ohio, I live in New York. So there's certain things that are available all year round, and in the seasons they change, right? So in the springtime, I'm getting different food. In the fall and the summer and the winter, all these different foods are available naturally provided by the earth, right? We're the place that we live, the ball that we are living on. And in each of those seasons, specific things grow, and those specific things are growing with specific bacteria in the soil, right? So when we eat those foods at whatever time of year that they're growing, they're coming in with the exact bacteria that we need, the exact food that we need. So I'll give an example. In August, and I give this example all the time because people can understand it. In August in New York, there are watermelons, right? You could have watermelon, and it's also 97 degrees and hot and humid. There's no better food. I'm not going to sit down to a beef stew, with root, right? Some hearty root vegetables and this honking piece of meat in August, right? I'm going to be too hot. I want to actually cool my system down. I want to get it in balance. I want to make my internal environment in harmony with my external environment. And in the middle of the winter time, January, February, when there's, a foot of snow outside and it's really cold, give me the beef stew with the hearty root vegetables, keep the watermelon. That's a completely different energy, right? For me as a human being here on the planet. And my body will feel that. And once you start to get in alignment with what's growing near you and what's available and what is harvested at specific times of the years, the body gets more balanced and it'll feel more energized. So you living in Ohio, you're going to have different foods that are available at different times of the year. Someone living in Alaska, different foods are going to be available. Like when I went to go visit, I know I could go off on a tangent about this forever. I went to go visit Alaska last year, and in the hotel where I was staying, they put out a breakfast every morning. And every morning they put out watermelon. And it was mealy and it was bland. And, you know, of course I had to taste it. I'm like, what does watermelon taste like in Alaska in February? -7 degrees.
Yeah.
And it really, like, my body said, nope, not for you. You're going to go outside, you're going to have your snorkel on, you're going to have all these layers on. Watermelon is really not the food for this environment, especially at this time of year. What would be the better food? Probably some fatty fish, some hearty eggs, right? I want as much fat as possible. If I'm going out into a cold environment, I want to be insulated, right? I want that. Even something like really hearty oats with cream or milk, or, you know, something like that, or yogurt is a much better choice than a piece of watermelon or a banana in Alaska. So first and foremost, I like to get people acclimated back to their environment. So I tell them, go to a farmer's market and just take a look at what's available. What's available in each season, and this will give you a good idea on what to eat. And then I always have the people that say to me, Andrea, well, what am I supposed to eat in the wintertime? And I say, this is the perfect time of year for stocks, stews, roots, really, really hearty, nourishing, deeply nourishing foods that go all the way down into your bones. So like everybody's going bone stock crazy right now. Bone stock for this, bone stock for that, bone stock, right? Because they've been depleted for so long. So the bone stock is really nourishing all the way down to the bones. And traditionally, the bone stocks are eaten in the cold weather, in the wintertime, summertime, not so much. So I've had clients that when they come to me and they have like this adrenal fatigue or this thyroid condition where they have no energy and they're wiped out and depleted, and put them on bone stocks, and they'll take the bone stock, and then I tell them to listen to their body. When you have an aversion to the bone stock, it means that you're full, meaning you've gotten to those reserves, you've increased the energy inside your body. I had one gal, and I guess it was like last year, she was doing bone stock all through the winter time. She said come May, she couldn't even smell the bone stock. She wanted to throw up. I said, great, no more bone stock. You pick it up again in October or November or December, right? When your body starts to crave that deep nutrition. So I think that a lot of the wisdom of connecting back to the earth and back to the seasons has been lost. And one of the ways for us to get healthy is to reconnect to that.
Well, yeah. And so Alaska is one of my favorite places to visit. I taught on the Cruise to Lose with Anne Louise Gittleman there. So several times we went on these cruises, and this was where I learned all about parasite cleansing and gut health, and on the cruise, and you know, firsthand, because we had some people come down ill and get very sick. And so anyway, so this is where I got introduced to it. We were actually eating when they were talking about the parasites. Oh my God, I could not eat off the salad bar for, I think, almost a year after listening to the whole talk on parasites. Can you, you know, that's one of the things I feel like in the public that we've gotten away from. I mean, when I grew up, I remember that was something you really thought about, and you wash your hands and you do all these things to keep parasites out. What are some tips for people to remain free of parasites and get them out of their systems?
Well, you know, like we're exposed to parasites all the time. So probably about 90% of the population has some type of parasite within their system, because the human body, just like every other warm mammal on the planet, is a great host for parasites. They love us, right? So one of the first things to do is to make sure that every year you just do a little parasite cleanse. I mean, it's something that was traditional and was done in indigenous cultures with indigenous people, right? Whether it was a root bark or some type of cleansing root or really bitter root like gentian or something like that, just to help clear because they don't like that stuff. They don't like gentian. They don't like the quinine bark. They don't like any of that stuff. So once per year, do a nice little wipe, like it doesn't have to be long, maybe 21 days, maybe 7 days. But also keep in mind that as the digestive system gets weaker and weaker and weaker from all of the abuses that we do, it'll be a greater host for parasites.
Okay.
Yeah, so our digestive system can handle a lot of the bacteria that comes in and a lot of the parasites that come in. It can handle it when it's healthy and it's strong. But when it's not healthy and strong, you're going to become overgrown. And that's where a lot of the problems lie, with the overgrowth of the parasites and the overgrowth of the bacteria. And as you were talking about the salad bars, salad bars can be a little tricky.
You got to make sure that's washed well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Ann Louise's significant other had written a book called Guess What Came to Dinner? So I think that that's pretty prevalent. Now that can also be in your sushi, right?
Absolutely. Especially now with what happened with the Japanese parasite in the wild salmon population.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So like everybody's like eating sushi thinking it's so good for them. And it can be really a healthy choice. Yeah. But not for everyone. And if you don't have the sushi with the wasabi, you're going to have higher incidence because the wasabi, that spicy, hot radish, also the parasites don't like it as well. But like I'm a big fan of wild salmon, but right now I won't have it raw. Nope. Because the parasite population has overgrown in the wild salmon population. So, if I'm going out to a sushi restaurant, normally I'd get the wild salmon. Now I'll take the farm raised. I know it's not the healthier version, but I'd rather not get a parasite.
It's kind of a trade-off, I know.
Right? What do I want to do here? And also the wild salmon that I do purchase, I cook. Normally I would cook it medium rare, but now it goes all the way up to medium, meaning I want to make sure there's no raw, no rare areas inside my salmon, my wild salmon right now, until that population gets under control. And it'll happen. Like it happens all the time. You'll have a population of animals or something that gets overrun with a fungus or a parasite or something, and then it takes time for it to rebalance itself. So it's not going to be forever, but it will be for a period of time.
So we were talking about parasites, and so you recommended doing a parasite cleanse. What about your stomach acid? Doesn't that also help protect you from the parasites? And
absolutely.
Okay, I know it was recommended to me by Ann Louise to take HCl, which is, something that our body naturally makes until we turn about 40 and it starts to diminish. And so that was one of the things that she recommended. What do you recommend for people to kind of keep the parasitic community at bay?
Yeah, we know they're in there, but we want to keep them. I do recommend to increase the hydrochloric acid. You want to make sure that you're getting the bitters, the natural bitters that will stimulate the production, as well as enough salt, because we need sodium chloride to stimulate the production of hydrochloric acid. So that could be something as simple as having like a little chamomile tea in the beginning of your meal, or a little salted kraut, or a kimchi, something that's going to promote the production of the hydrochloric acid, so that you have enough. Like, so many people in the world are suffering from GERD and all this acid reflux, and they think that it's high acid.
Right.
But literally it's low acid.
Right. They need more acid.
Yes. And they need more acid because the food is sitting there for a longer period of time, and it's weakening the valve, and then it starts to come back up.
Right. They're not digesting it. So yeah, prescribing antacid is the very wrong thing to do.
Yes.
Wow. So with our gut health, we've got, you want to try to, make sure you're steering clear of parasites, or at least cleansing them, because it's almost impossible to completely steer clear.
Yep.
And then with our gut health, I know like 80% of the population have candida, you know, somewhat of an overgrowth of candida from all the sugar and all the things that we're eating and things that we're not doing. What can we do to bring that back more into balance?
Well, remember I talked about seasonal eating? So one of the reasons why the candida gets out of the large intestine is because that ileocecal valve gets weak. So the valve that protects the large intestine from the small intestine, meaning we naturally have candida thriving in our large intestine, as well as a little bit, you know, in other places around the body, but the majority of it lives in the large intestine. And when that valve gets weak, the candida can come out of the large intestine, go into the small intestine, and start to eat all of your nutrients, as well as make you feel like crap, literally. And because the candida's job is to digest the rest of the stuff that's, you know, going to go, this is your feces, you're creating your feces. So a lot of people will say they literally feel like crap, right?
Right, yeah.
Candida's making them feel like crap, like they've done. And it's just, we have to get that population back under control and strengthen that valve. So remember I said seasonal eating helps get your internal environment in harmony with the external environment, and this strengthens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen in 2 months. This is going to be like a process, like a long process, maybe a year, maybe 2 years of eating seasonally in alignment with the bacteria that is naturally provided by the environment for each season, so that this can start to strengthen internally. And I'm pointing to my, you know, digestive system. It starts here and it ends at the anus. So here you want to strengthen this, and that's one of the ways to do it. You also want to clear out the rogue candida that is now in the digestive system and going all over the body. And one of my favorite things for that is something called black walnut hull. And it's, you know, it's an herb. And it naturally helps to get that candida out of the places that you don't want it and back into the place, because it's also toning and astringing to the digestive system. So if the digestive system is weak, right? If the muscles in there are weak, you want to get tone. You want it to be tighter and stronger, so that all of those little muscles and valves start to strengthen. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend black walnut hull. It's one of my favorites for candida. And, you know, you follow directions on the bottle. You're not going to die. You may get a little cramping because it also is a dewormer.
Is it by liquid, like tincture, or? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
is it bitter?
It's very acrid and bitter. So meaning you're not going to like the taste of it. It's medicine. You're not going to go, wow, this is so delicious. I got it. Have another squirt of this.
Well, I know I take a really good probiotic. I take Dr. Ohhira's, and it has a prebiotic and a probiotic in it. So I take probiotics. I do the HCl. What else do you recommend for just, you know, I know a lot of us have leaky gut and we don't even know it. We're not even getting our nutrients. How can we heal that? And make, you know, besides the black walnut, are there other things we can do to heal our gut?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on something really important. You talked about prebiotics, which are, a lot of times they're forgotten. And you remember I said I had a client who didn't eat a potato in 7 years, right? Potatoes contain those prebiotic starches, as well as asparagus and slippery elm, right? They contain those starches that the bacteria eat, and they, you know, their population will thrive like good bacteria.
Right.
Will thrive. So I do recommend prebiotic. You know, like I just did a digestive health cooking class last week, and I made like this oatmeal porridge with slippery elm and restorative herb powder and ashwagandha and all this other stuff in it. But the oats were soaked overnight with an acid medium to help release any anti-nutrients, because I also wanted the mucilage from the oat, right? So when you're thinking about the gut, it is lined with this wonderful mucosa that without the mucosa, we can't absorb, we can't digest. And when someone strips out their intestines entirely, like in the case of like chemotherapy, they just wipe out all the mucosa and everything. You can't absorb. That's one of the reasons why they'll have like all the hair will fall out, all the deficiencies.
Oh yeah, they're not absorbing their nutrients.
They're not absorbing, right? So you want to get that mucosal lining in there, and you want to make sure that you're also getting prebiotic to feed the bacteria that's in there so that you can have a healthy gut. And it's a process. It's a long process. It's not going to happen overnight because of all of the damage that we've done. We've done damage with antibiotic in the food supply, with overdosing people with antibiotic in the 70s and the 80s. You know, what do you got? Toenail fungus, antibiotic. What do you got? A sniffle, antibiotic. You know, like acne, antibiotic. Like everything was antibiotics. And we couldn't get away from it because it was also in the food supply. So now I think they're a little smarter. They're a little more discerning with when they recommend antibiotics, although now the antibiotics are even stronger, right? So we have really, really strong antibiotics that are on the market. And we also have bacteria that has found the way to not be affected by the antibiotics. So we have our antibiotic resistant bacteria, which is really challenging because of all this abuse that we've done. So, you know, it's a process. Right? You want to clear out the rogue bacteria, clean up the mess that's in there, create a nice mucilage, and then feed the bacteria some good prebiotics. So it really is a process, and it does take time.
Now, have you written about this at all in any of your books that you have?
No, so much about gut health. Yeah, I have it on my website. Plus, I just posted up a webinar about it. You know, like I always keep updating information and keeping people apprised of like what they can do, because they always want the one thing, but it's never one thing. It's always.
I was kind of amazed by how much serotonin came from our gut and our neurotransmitters. So I know that they say your gut is your second brain, but that's just amazing. Like,
yes, and I would even go so far as to say the gut is the first brain, because unless you get fed the right nutrients, you're not going to be able to create or generate the energy that's going to create the serotonin and all the neurotransmitters that you need. In Chinese medicine, it is that process of taking food and turning it into qi or energy, acquired energy, that's going to help you create the neurotransmitters that you need. So it doesn't start here. It starts here, so that's the first brain. Right?
Yeah, I know that we've had it all backwards. The brain rules the body. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like, but I think the gut has a huge role, and not only in the brain and the emotions and everything that are going on, but also just in your entire, like, if you wanted to lose weight, the gut is huge.
Huge and huge.
And, yeah, huge and huge.
And you know, like a lot of times, like I know you said you take a probiotic, which is great, but sometimes taking too much probiotic will cause the mind to overthink. So like I always tell my clients, if you're taking a probiotic and you can't sleep at night or you can't shut your mind down, it's on constant go, 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 then the bacterial population is out of control and there's too much. There's too much bacteria there. Because again, gut mind, right? There's this direct connect, especially, you know, in Chinese medicine, they say this, you know, like if you even look at the gut and then you look at the brain, it looks like the same squiggly little, curvy little lines, right? It's the same little thing. And whatever's happening in that small intestine is going to affect the heart and it's going to affect the mind. So if there's, like you lay down to bed at night, and if you can't shut the mind off, then reduce the amount of probiotic. Take them out for a while and just start to eat food probiotic and see if that moves through your system.
Well, last night I was going to bed to reduce my cortisol at an early time. 10 o'clock, you know, it's supposed to reduce your cortisol by 50%. So I had a test and it was kind of high in the mornings. And I thought, okay, if I could just get to bed earlier, because I am burning the candle at both ends. So I went to bed earlier, but my mind wouldn't turn off. So, so you're recommending less, maybe not too many probiotics.
Yeah,
lessen that a little bit.
Lessen it a little bit. Like supplementation is great in the short term, but in the long term, again, we can have accumulation inside the system. So like if you look at what happened since the 70s, right, when we take supplements, which it's a fantastic industry, right? It's a wonderful industry. And they took calcium and they said, okay, women, you got to start taking calcium. You need calcium supplementation, right? So we're taking all this calcium. And what do we find out 40 years later? Taking
Don't take
calcium.
so much calcium.
Yeah, because it contributes to higher rates of heart attack, heart disease, calcification of the soft tissue in the breast, in the arteries, in the brain, right? Higher rates of breast cancer, because you can't keep taking an isolated supplement or an isolated nutrient without all of the other things that it naturally comes with, because there'll be this accumulation process. So the same thing with the bacteria, right? Everybody's going crazy with 2,000 strains of acidophilus and bifidus and this, that, and the other thing, but they're out of balance and they're not coming with what they were designed to come with, which is food, right? Bacteria comes with food, like those soil bacteria, the soil organisms, they come with food. They come attached to the food, like in the soil and all that stuff. And we've just completely taken out that equation, and we just take the bacteria. Okay, give me the bacteria. Right? And we take it and take it and take it every day, and there's going to be an accumulation process that happens as well. So I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a huge surge in SIBO, right? Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Okay, what's going on with that, right? Are they taking too much bacteria now? Has the gut been so compromised that now the small intestine is out of balance? Maybe there's not enough bile. Maybe there's not enough hydrochloric acid. Maybe there's not enough pancreatic enzymes. So we really have to look at the whole system as a functioning unit that's all working together instead of an isolated nutrient. I'm not getting down on the supplement industry. I think it works in the short term to give you that boost and all the stuff that you need, and then give your body a break and let it come back to balance.
Yeah. So you mentioned bile. How can we? I know that's really important for the breakdown of fat. How can we secrete more bile? What are some ways naturally that we can get that working so that it breaks down the fat?
Well, we need bitter cholagogues, right? So a cholagogue is a substance that starts the production or the promotion of bile. First of all, you have to make sure that your liver and your gallbladder are not congested, right? Which is,
do a cleanse.
Yeah, do a cleanse, like once a year, do a liver cleanse. And a liver cleanse could really be as easy as fasting, right? Just giving your body a break, taking out all the food so that your system can start to get rid of the debris and the waste and the excess and all that stuff. So I'm a big fan of fasting, even a water fast, a juice fast, whatever you want to do, but at least once per year. And if you want to do more than that, some people recommend fasting once per week or once per day. And we fast at night, like when
right. Intermittent fasting.
Yes, we fast naturally. Your body goes through this little cleanup process while you're sleeping, and it gets all the debris. So I'm a big fan of fasting, but also the bitter herbs and cholagogues to promote bile, right? So something as simple, and I said it before, as simple as chamomile tea that people have forgotten about, right? Because everybody's like, coffee crazy and green tea this, right? Where we forgot about herbs that promote bile. So chamomile is a natural bitter, especially when you let it sit for 10 minutes instead of 3 minutes, right? You let it sit, it's going to become more bitter, and that bitter helps to promote. It's a cholagogue, as well as milk thistle, right? It's a natural bitter, and that's going to help you regenerate new liver cells. So we have to look at, what's going on with the liver that it's not producing what we need it to produce? Is it congested? Do I need a cleanse? Do I need more bitter foods in my diet? Am I eating too many cold foods, right? Because cold foods, you're going to contract the system. It's not going to open up and relax and release. So like those are all my smoothie people, the smoothie, crazy frozen smoothie people. Smoothie once in a while, great. But the people that are having breakfast smoothies every morning, frozen, it's really not healthy for the system. It'll almost put the system into like a lockdown, right? It gets too cold digestive fire, and then you won't digest anything. So there's so many things that we can do, like simple things, really simple things that we don't do. Cup of chamomile tea 15 minutes before you eat, especially before a fatty meal, right? This would help start that production of bile.
Oh, awesome. So a little chamomile tea to decrease the fat. Just have it right before your meal. That's an excellent thing to do.
What else does chamomile do? It relaxes the body. So in order to digest food, what state do you have to be in?
Be relaxed.
Yes.
And half of us are like driving down the highway. Oh, yeah, I got to eat this while I'm driving Johnny and Susie to class or what, and I got to get to work. And oh my God, where's my coffee?
That's correct. So when your body is on fight or flight, digestive system shuts down. When your body's in rest and digest, you can process food, right? That's why it's the parasympathetic is rest and digest, and the sympathetic is fight or flight. So the majority of people, when they sit down to eat, they are in fight or flight. So if they're in fight or flight, they're not going to absorb as well. They're not going to promote, the secretion of the enzymes is going to be less. The food's going to sit for a longer period of time. You're going to have burping, belching, and I'm not saying that belching is bad. It's actually a good release when it's also like in a lot of countries around the world. If you burp at the end of the meal, it's a sign. Yes, a good meal. Satisfying burp. But if you're constantly belching, you can't stop belching. It's a sign that there's liver congestion, right? So you got to relax, get your body into a relaxed state before you put food in your mouth. It should be a really relaxed and nourishing experience instead of a shoveling. Okay, gotta go. There's no consciousness around that. The body's not even prepared. The body's going, what the hell are you doing? Right? I'm not ready for this.
So with this rat race pace that we're all in, many of us are finding we have high cortisol, which causes belly fat, and we have adrenal fatigue and a whole host of things. What are some ways that we can lower the cortisol and boost the adrenals?
Well, there's a lot of ways, and you just hit the nail on the head. Everybody's looking to let's get this energy going. Let's come on. This body is slowing down, right? But I'm going to suggest, and I know that this goes against what the entire world is doing right now, but I'm going to suggest that we actually do slow down. We're not robots. We can't keep up the pace that we are creating in the world. Constant go, constant on. I live in a city that never sleeps. I go to sleep. I'm not staying up all night long with that craziness. Right? We have to slow down and rest. I remember when I was growing up, we actually had downtime. There was time to sit in the park, hang out with your friends, play a game of cards.
Right.
Have a picnic with the family. There was relaxed time, this really chill time that we don't get access to nowadays. I look at kids, they're put on a schedule like a crazy schedule. They go to school all day long, and then they're going to soccer practice, and then they're going here, and then they're going there. When do they get to rest? When do they get to relax? So we're setting them up for adrenal fatigue. We're setting them up for the need for coffee, 3 to 4 cups a day, to keep going at this unnatural pace. So the first thing that I recommend people to do is look at their life and say, why am I going so quickly, and where am I going, and where can I put in my rest times? Where can I sit on the couch and read a book and not do anything? Where can I take a little stroll in the park where I'm not working out and working, right? Right? Where can we relax, chill out, not tap into that frantic pace, but have a more relaxed pace, where you can sit back and look at the world and say, okay, this is the world that I live in. Do I need to contribute to all of that craziness, right, that's going on? Or can I be a relaxed human being? Can I have moments where, I was just talking about this the other day in another webinar. I want my body to be able to, the bomb goes off in New York City. I want to be able, let's go, cortisol, let's go, adrenaline, let's go. Whew, get your stuff together, get that bag, get out the door, run down the block, get to the safety. But I also want to be able to chill out and have the relaxed time. Otherwise, there's no balance, right? And we have to find that balance. And unfortunately, when I look around the world today, zero balance. Everybody's on go all the time. They don't want to slow down. They don't want to take the time. They don't want to relax because they feel like they're going to miss something.
Oh, there you go. You hit the nail on the head with that one.
Right?
Yeah. They don't want to miss anything.
But I think that they'll miss more if they're constantly rolling and they don't take the time to reflect. right? And reflection happens in that state of parasympathetic nervous system where you take a step back and now you're looking at your life. Am I in a good relationship? Am I happy? Am I nourishing myself? How do I feel? Do I feel rested when I wake up? Do I feel wiped out when I wake up? Right? Do I have the energy that I need? What do I need to do? I'm going to be here on the planet for, however long I'm going to be here. Is my life good? Or am I on a rat race wheel, right? That little hamster wheel. Am I just going and going and going and going and not seeing that the flowers are now
running that wheel and accomplishing not that much because you're just in that fast pace. You're never thinking about what it is you're trying to accomplish or do.
Yeah. Like when I'm walking with my husband in the park, like we do these walks in Central Park, because I got to be in Central Park every day if I'm going to live in New York City. and I'll always stop when I see the flowers bursting. I'll always stop and I'll go over and I'll smell them, and I'll be like, oh, it brings me back to my senses. And I learned that from my nephew when he was 4 years old. Where I was walking down the street with one of my friends and I was babysitting him. And this was years ago. He's 20 something now. And he's 4 years old and we're walking down the street and he sees, in New York, you have all these little delis that have flowers outside. And he's like, hey, wow, look at all these flowers. Because he's a little kid and little kids are very stimulated by colors and all that stuff. He's like, look at all these flowers. And we're like, okay, yeah, we look at the flowers. He goes, okay, let's smell the flowers. And me and my friend Dina, we bend down and we're like, okay, we're like, okay, let's go. And he's like, no. Smell the flowers. What's the matter with you?
He's like, you didn't take time to smell those flowers.
So we literally stopped, smelled the flowers, and it was a total wake-up call. Like, yeah, we really have to be in this world if we're going to be here, not just pass it by very quickly, but really be in it to have the experience. Otherwise, you get to the end of it and you're like, what the hell just happened? 57 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a lot to ponder. And I know that we could all benefit from slowing down a little bit. Now, are there any like supplements that you recommend to boost the adrenals?
Oh yeah, I do. First slow down. And then I recommend ashwagandha, unless you have sensitivity to nightshades. Then I don't recommend ashwagandha because it's a nightshade.
Okay.
Also, your ashwagandha, you have to have it with fat because it's the constituents of fat soluble, not water soluble. Ginseng, American ginseng, eleutherococcus, which is Siberian ginseng. I recommend nourishing roots in general. Like for the health of the liver, I like burdock. Great root. You could put it in food. You could get it in powder. You could have it in a tea. That also helps you absorb the fats, by the way. So I do recommend like a lot of, like even the adaptogenic herbs that I'm talking about, they're all roots, right? So all the ginsengs are all roots. And then there's Prince-Sang. It's another root. That's one for the lungs. Right. So again, they're roots. So one of the reasons why it helps the adrenals is because the adrenals are literally, they're connected to the roots of our body, right? Without them, it's our little batteries. So we're looking at roots. You want to get that grounded, really strong energy. You want to get grounded into the earth. And that's going to help to support your adrenals. It's going to bring the energy back down, right? Because if your cortisol is on high, your energy's out the door, adrenaline out the door. So you want to bring it back down. Roots in general, like very grounding, right? Look at the way they grow. Strong down with energy. So you get the people out of their head, out of their chest where fear is, and you bring them back down into the body. So I usually recommend those in powder form, mixed with, you can have them in a tea. You could have them in, I like to put them in my porridge. Right, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I have porridge, not every morning, but
that sounds good. Oh my gosh, what are some of your favorite grains? What do you Well,
it switches. It does switch all the time. Like sometimes I like sourdough bread with a nice egg on top, poached egg. My gosh, it's one of my favorite breakfasts. I like oats, but I like them soaked, and I like them with goji berries and some restorative powders and a little bit of kefir. Um, I like quinoa, more summertime. I like rice, occasionally here and there. I like, I like starches in general, like, because I'm a glucose girl, I do like to feed my bacteria.
Oh,
but
there you go.
but I don't want to feed them candy and chocolate, which everyone is doing, right? I want to feed them like roots and tubers and grains, like
Right. Some good clean carbs, and a balance, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I
absolutely.
know that I'm eating too much bread when I start to get a little bloated, because wheat is a builder, right? It builds strength, it builds the body. It's the reason why the ancients called it the staff of life. They fed it to the slaves, and then they built the pyramids in ancient Egypt. So it's a builder. It's a very strong food. And if we eat it all the time, the way that we're eating it today, you're going to just keep building. You're going to have a congested system. Lymphatic system will be congested. It's really not good to have it all the time, all year round, every single season. I think it's much better like wintertime food. Like, remember I was talking about beef stew with a nice honking piece of bread with butter on it. Oh my gosh.
You're making me hungry. So you basically eat seasonally all the time. Now, how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it for probably about, I want to say 18 or 19 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a long time. And I, it's not 100%. I need to tell you that it's probably 90%, 90% seasonal, and then the other stuff, like my olive oil is not seasonal. Olives don't even grow anywhere in New York, right? Nowhere, nobody's making olive oil in New York. Although I think there are some upstate New York that now making olive oil, which is great. But once in a while I have a banana with my nephews. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die from a coconut. So it's all about the balance. Like, it's not what you do once in a while that harms the human body. It's what you're doing on a daily basis. So on a daily basis, I'm eating seasonally. Like lunchtime, I'm probably going to have some sauteed greens that just came up, or maybe a nice salad. I have a piece of fish. I'll see what's in the fridge, what we got. We still have some small potatoes that we got at the farmer's market. Maybe I'll have that for breakfast tomorrow, some potatoes and eggs or something like that. So, the food is changing constantly. With what's available. It's always changing. And then there's always the other stuff, the little supplements that come in that are not seasonal, maybe not even local.
Now, I know you healed yourself. You had Hashimoto's, you had thyroid disease, and how did you go about that? What are some of the steps you took to be this vibrant person you are now from where you were when you were down and out with that?
Well, it took time. So it started by getting out all the crap. Remember we were talking about crap sandwiches before? I used to eat those all the time. I was a crap sandwich person.
I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to remember that.
So I took out all the crap, and I started to get local, seasonal, organic, naturally raised, and my body started to change. And then like it's a process. It's not an overnight process, right? It's the disease doesn't develop overnight, so wellness doesn't develop overnight either. It's a process of healing, and you got to be patient and listen to your body. Like, what is the body saying? I have an ache, I have a pain. Is my body talking to me? What's going on? Is it saying that there's energy that's stuck? Do I need cardiovascular? Do I need yoga? Do I need stretching? Do I need meditation, right? To really support the endocrine system and the nervous system. It's really it's a process of changing the diet and the lifestyle and the consciousness, not just one little thing that you do. People always say, what's the one thing that you did?
It's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Like I went to a party yesterday, and two people came up to me and they're like, oh my God, Andrea, every time I see you, you look better and better. And I'm like, well, I am aging.
No, you are not. I was actually thinking the same thing when I was watching one of your videos where you were answering all these questions. And I was just like, man, you're so beautiful. You're so glowing with health.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, like I'm 49 and I know that you're 50, right? And you look fantastic too.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I noticed that my skin, I do have wrinkles, I do have gray hair. But I noticed that it's like a vibrancy underneath, right? The wrinkles are going to come, the gray hair is going to continue coming. That's all going to happen. But there's an energy emanating from inside that is it's almost like a younger energy or a vibrant energy. So people think I'm younger than I am. Uh,
Right. You have a vibrant, and you hit that right on the head. That is a vibrant energy that I was seeing when I was looking at you and listening to you talk even today, like when I'm watching you. Um, and that all comes from vibrant health. I mean, that's just
yeah, that's the energy, right? The energy
right.
that we're taking in, the energy that we're expending, the amount of relaxed time we have, the amount of expenditure that we have. It has to be a balance. Yesterday I went for a run, today I'm stretching, right? So
Yeah, changing it up.
changing it up all the time. I know people that run like
Yeah,
crazy.
we do change up our workouts. I have a studio, the Chick Fit studio, and we change up our workouts. We don't do the same workout all the time. And I am a big believer in balance and changing it up. And what's right for you, when you were 20 may not be the same exercise you're doing when you're in your 50s.
Yeah,
Yeah. But you also want to be able to. I mean, also, you want to be able to climb that mountain. Really, I found that if you keep up with your health and fitness, it isn't about your age.
that's right.
It's not about your age. It's about your mindset. It's about your consistency and all of that together.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what are three simple truths that you could leave with us today?
Three simple truths. Okay, first one. Life is short, right? So that's the first one. So if you understand that life is short, like literally, like a blink of an eye, you're in and out of this thing, then you have to look and say, okay, how is my life? Right? How am I feeling? Am I feeling vibrant? Am I feeling energized? Or am I slogging through my day and needing 27 cups of coffee? So life is short. Where am I in that life? Right? Another truth, connect back to the earth that you're living on. All right? This big, beautiful ball that's suspended in the air, right? In the universe, connect back to the earth because you're here on the planet and the earth is going to provide you exactly what you need. That's just the way that it works, right? Nothing is here without the things that are going to help it with its existence, right? Everything is supporting each other. Gaia, for those of you that believe that the earth is a living organism, we're a part of that living organism. So you connect back to it, it's going to support you and you support it, right? Keep the waters clean, keep the air clean. It's going to support you with the food and the stuff that you need, right? So life is short, connect to the earth and love yourself, right? So it's not like in a narcissistic way where you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm the most beautiful person. Not like that. It's like more like I am a human being. I'm here on the planet. I am important. I'm special. I deserve my love and affection. I deserve a good life. I deserve happiness. Just really get to that loving space and take care of yourself. Like when you love yourself, you take care of yourself. So, I always make my clients write a love letter to themselves. And they're like, oh, Andrew, that's the silliest thing. And then they write it and they cry their eyes out.
Oh,
Because,
it's true. It's true. It's crazy. Yeah.
because we neglect ourselves, right? We'll take care of everyone else, the kids, the husband, the this, the that, and the other thing, and then we neglect ourselves. And you deserve your love and attention as much as anyone else in the world. So make sure you give it to you because in the end, that's where it's going to come from, that internal love, right? You could wait for your husband to give it to you. You could wait for your kids to give it to you. You could wait for your pet turtle to give it to you, whatever you got, right? But it comes from the inside and it emanates outward, and then that comes back.
Now, this is the Sisterhood of Sweat, so what does sisterhood mean to you?
Oh gosh, I haven't thought about that. Let's see, sisterhood. I guess well, like bonding, like sisterhood. It's like we're bonding with our community, bonding with our wise women, bonding with each other. Like when I think about whenever people would gather in a home, they would gather in the kitchen, and usually it was the women, right? They would gather and they would help to be the glue that holds the community together, right? The women are really great at that. I'm not saying that men don't do that. They do it in their own way. Yeah, I'll punch you in the face. No, right?
Yeah.
But the women were traditionally the glue that held families together and held communities together. So a sisterhood is really a community bond.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. What is your biggest dream?
Oh, my biggest dream. My gosh. Uh, I don't know. There's I guess to just have a really happy life, and to promote that happiness and share it with others. And it doesn't mean that I'm gonna go through the life and not have sad moments and unhappiness and depression and anger and all that stuff, but just to really have as much happiness as I can, because again, life is short, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's have some good giggles, some good times, some nourishing moments with family, friends, and loved ones, and bring some joy to the world.
Well, I have so enjoyed talking with you today, and I hope that all of our listeners have enjoyed this as much as I have. Where can we find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Facebook, Andrea Beaman. You could go to my website, www.andreabeaman.com, and all the little icons are there on the side. You could go to Twitter, LinkedIn.
And where can we find your books?
Oh, you can find them on Amazon. You can find them on my website. They're everywhere. I get a lot of books, and I have more up here that they'll come out eventually as soon as I get on the couch and start writing down.
Right, because it all takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And this concludes the episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat.
Oh, thanks for having me, sister.